morning, all you beautiful people out there. Although it's afternoon, I think. It's about, I don't know. Anyways, I got Mr. Nutt out here behind me on the Streetglide CVO, and I'm on the FatBob, and we are riding through Barnsdall, Oklahoma, heading towards Skytook. And we're just going to get out and do a little Wind Therapy Wednesday and fill you in on some new stuff and kind of revamp some of the things we talked about Monday on our Motivational Monday. And so we just want to bring you along. So let's go.
So this is beautiful Barnsdall, Oklahoma.
The home of Clark Gable, in case you were curious.
You know, I'm always curious as where Clark Gable was.
Right.
Called
you know,
home.
Gone with the Wind is one of my favorite movies. So,
as you can see, it is Wednesday, and the weather is rather
gorgeous.
nice.
Yeah. Could not ask for nicer weather when it's the end of October. Hopefully we'll get to see some pretty color changes in some of the trees and whatnot. It's definitely not as green because it's been a bit dry here. So, but it should be a pretty ride. We are doing it in reverse from what we would normally do. We would normally come from Skytook and go up to like Bartlesville or Pawhuska. And that's a really pretty ride. But what we've noticed is that it's so much prettier to come back. So we thought we would take you on a little reverse ride and talk about what we're doing this winter and some changes we're making to the bikes. Not necessarily, we're not going to go into detail on what we're doing to the bikes, just that we're going to kind of go down and to these two bikes through the winter to do some rebuilds, some winter builds, I should say, on the other three bikes. So Mr. Nutt is going to enjoy my fancy Streetglide CVO. And I'm going to ride my FatBob. And over the winter, we are going to do some things on my FatBob. So we'll kind of update you and bring you along for those things. But the other bikes are kind of being shipped off to dealerships to have some things done. So I'll let Mr. Nutt kind of, I don't know, go from there. What do you think, Mr. Nutt?
You know, we wanted to take this winter and really kind of, well, we're doing two things. One of them is because, you know, we do kind of pride ourselves as a design company as well as, you know, being involved in Harley performance and being involved in dealership consulting and that kind of stuff. We've always wanted to kind of become or put ourselves out there in the design department as far as designing a bike from its aesthetic looks all the way through to its power curve and its power band. And we've created some really cool alliances that we'll announce later in getting that kind of stuff done. But we've got three bikes that we're going to take down for the winter and pretty much redo. I've actually already got interest in two of them for sale when we get done with them, so that's kind of exciting. And then I think next spring we're going to see what Harley does for 2021, and we're probably going to revamp our lineup a little bit. I imagine we're going to keep the FatBob, and we're going to keep this 2020 CVO Streetglide. But I think Mrs. Nutt might be considering moving back to a Heritage Classic as her touring bike.
Yes, either Heritage Classic or I'm considering the Road King. It would just depend. But, you know, I really loved my Heritage Classic, and I love my Streetglide, and I really, my confidence on my Streetglide has increased big time, but it's still riding two up the way we are with the boys and things like that. And then adding luggage and whatnot, it becomes a lot harder for me to do the groundwork. And when I add a passenger who weighs as much as I do, it really makes it difficult without having the reach. So it's one of those debates is, do we put the like iRide suspension on it, where I can lower it and it adds that much, kind of accessibility for me, or flexibility for me, or whatever the word is. But that's an expensive investment to a bike as well. Or do we just restart our entire lineup and go back to my heritage, which I really loved? And that Harley has kind of come out and made it part of their touring. So maybe they're gonna, we were gonna kind of wait and see, hoping that maybe since they added it to their touring lineup, that maybe they were gonna change a few things on it to make it even more made for that. So it's it's one of those things that we're kind of looking towards the future to see what Harley's gonna do, what we're gonna do, what's gonna fit us best. Obviously our riding life has changed a bit, adding 2 teenage boys to or preteen boys to our household. We just don't have the times to get out and ride the long distance that we had wanted to be riding this year, for sure. And the pandemic stuff has changed what we're doing and how we're doing it.
Well, on the FatBob, in line with this 2020 CVO, we've got quite a few thoughts. I've been thinking of moving to cross bars and risers for a while with their fly moto bar,
right,
which I think would go really, really well on the bike.
Yes.
I'm thinking of going to a Fat Boy style tank, or anyway, go to a 5-gallon tank, because I've seen quite a few of those modifications and they seem to work out really, really well for a little extra distance on the 3.5 gallon, 3.6 gallon tanks on
right,
both the FatBob and the Breakout. To turn those into more of touring bikes. Yaffe just released not too long ago a Sharknado. They call it the Sharknado, which is kind of goofy in my opinion.
Yes.
Kind of stupid branding, but it's a fairing that takes the FatBob light, even if it goes on. If you put it on a lowrider and you put it on another bike, it still takes the FatBob light. So I really like the look of that fairing. It's the first fairing I've seen for a Softail that I really think looks really good, because it's made for the size of the bike. It's not, oversized or anything like that. It kind of keeps the sleek lines of the bike. So we're considering that, and possibly a color change to maybe bring these 2 bikes more into the twin status, since as much as I tease us about it, it's really kind of cool. We really do like riding matching bikes, and it looks like the Beast, as soon as we're done with it, has a couple of buyers. So
right, so it's gonna exchange that. We're gonna take away that scorched orange twins anyways. So, and I love the sand dune look. I think it's one of the prettiest colors they've released in a really long time. It's really unique.
It is a great color. So I want to kind of redact or clarify a couple of things on Monday. Monday we did a motivational Monday, and we talked about Million Dollar Bogan and Harley calling him or the dealer and kind of making a request to take a video down that had some content on it that was considered to be
offensive.
Yeah, offensive. I mean, again, if you're into being offended, I guess the content could have been interpreted as being offensive. We've kind of gotten, since we released that video, we've gotten feedback. Only one person has really come in and said that was offensive language, because we didn't get to see the video. But again, it was a regulatory issue that Harley's running into. They've got the same issue in the UK, and they're trying to keep their dealerships open. They're trying to keep bikes going into those areas where government regulators have taken an abundance of control. To clarify one point on it, when I was talking about Australia being in lockdown and Australia's government getting ultra powerful and the people being under stricter control of the government, I wasn't singling out Australia as the only country that's happening in. The fact is, it's happening worldwide. And a couple of people seem to take a little bit of exception with that. And again, it's not just Australia where this is happening. It's happening worldwide. And the fact is, the state itself has become much more powerful, especially since the announcement of this pandemic. So I wanted to clarify that, Million Dollar Bogan to Danny Hayes. I mean, this dude's a character. I mean, this is a. I mean, he built his prosperity, fortune, whatever you want to call it, as a real estate developer or in real estate. And again, if I'm not 100% right, I'm saying this from the information that I've received as best I can. I'm not trying to declare ultimate facts here. While we're here, look at this. This is one of the reasons we love this view back. Going downhill is just gorgeous. So, you know, again, I'm not trying to make, I haven't followed him for very long. I've watched a few of his videos. I don't know his entire backstory.
But the whole point is that he doesn't work for Harley Direct. He's not, that's not who he is.
Right.
He's simply a brand ambassador in the sense that he likes the brand and that's what he wants to talk about and that's what he does.
And when
he doesn't work for the dealership.
He works with a dealership in many of his videos.
Right.
There's a local dealership that he makes part of his videos. And he seems to get along really, really well. And the gentleman that he works with primarily is either a manager or the owner. Again, I haven't got clarification on that, but I wasn't trying to imply that he worked for the dealer. Somebody put up a comment and I went back and looked and I clearly said with the dealership, not for the dealership. But again, I want to be clear on these things. We are not trying to get out here and spread misinformation. In this particular case, we were trying to clarify as best we could what happened.
From just a different perspective. You know, there's a lot of, Harley's trying to control us as moto vloggers, and there's a lot of indignation in that. And I just think we thought there's, as we discussed it and looked at, you know, whatever, that there's just more to the story with what's going on in the regulator factor of governments or regulation factor of governments. You know, I was watching somebody else who was talking about it on his channel, and you know, he was talking about the fact that, you know, it's one of the reasons he never takes sponsorships is because he wants to be able to say whatever the fuck he wants. And we're the same way. You know, we don't do sponsorships. When we work with a dealership to take demo rides and things, we thank them for the opportunity, but we don't work with them, and we make it very clear that we are not working for them or their spokesperson. And we, you know, when we put parts and things on our bikes to enhance them, you know, we buy the parts and all the things because we want to be able to say if they're shit. That's just, you know, our prerogative. And so I think that that's just one of those things as well.
And again, whatever happened in this incident, it happened either in the dealership or the dealership was not a part of that particular vlog, that the regulators were able to call Harley and put leverage on them or put pressure on them.
Right.
To put pressure on the dealership and to put pressure on Mr. Hayes to do what they did. So that's really our point, is that this was a regulatory issue. It wasn't Harley coming in and saying, hey, look, we're trying to be a PC company. Right. We're trying to big brother everybody. We want to change the image of our company, and we want to be, you know, politically correct anytime you mention our name or anything like that. So that's what we were trying to clarify. So that's that.
If that makes any sense, clarification-wise.
Yeah, if that actually clarified it at all and didn't mark it up more. But on my Tech Tuesday, which was I was going to do yesterday, again, with all of the stuff we're doing, I want to do a modification to this particular bike that I'm riding, this 2020 Streetglide. And I think it's going to be a really cool modification, but there are other parts coming for this bike that can be done at the same time as that modification. And I'm basically going to have to remove the front fairing and the tank and the seat and possibly the rear fender to do this modification. And I want to, as long as I've got all of that kind of taken off the bike, I want to do everything at once. So those parts aren't here yet. So hopefully that Tech Tuesday will be available next Tuesday.
Yeah.
On that modification. I think it's going to be a good one. I think people are going to like it. So that's kind of what's going on the past. As far as our bikes for the winter, we love riding in the winter. It looks like Oklahoma might have a kind of a blustery winter.
Yeah, we're having some major changes. Like today, it's a beautiful 85 for a high. We woke up and it was probably, I think, 48 or 50. Earlier this week, it was quite chilly, where we didn't even get into barely the 50s. And then by the weekend, I think it's supposed to be fairly nice tomorrow. And then by the weekend, it's supposed to be cold and rainy, and so it'll be interesting to see what this winter brings. If it brings wet, if it just brings cold. But it seems like we are able to get out generally at least once a week. The weather is decent enough for a decent ride.
Yeah, and that's the way every winter we've been back here with bikes. That's kind of been the case. We've been able to keep our bikes out of being winterized. So we decided to stick with these two bikes, and we're going to see what we can do on the FatBob to kind of make it a mini, just a little bit more long distance friendly, and play around with it.
Right, because I love riding this bike so much. It's really comfortable in a lot of ways, and my confidence level, like I've talked about before, it's just through the roof on this bike. Because of the, my ability to reach is one of the biggest things, and it's light, and I can fling it around, and it's just great.
Back getting into parking spaces, all of those things with a lot of confidence.
Right.
And as far as this bike has been stock, we are going to do a couple of power upgrades on it this winter. I don't know how many. I know I'm going to do at least a little stage 1 exhaust.
Yeah, I'm going to change the exhaust for sure.
And I'm looking into possibly, because we are now, just kind of, so we are distributors of certain parts lines, and we are a distributor of Feuling. And I believe that Feuling has just released a cam for this 117 in its stock configuration. So we may be doing that change because, just to kind of show people that this is work that you can do yourself without having all of the deep resources or deep mechanical training.
Knowledge, right.
I worked on cars and motorcycles my entire young life, so I'm fairly mechanical.
Yeah.
I'm fairly mechanical.
And it's really interesting for me, who has no mechanical aptitude, to watch these bikes get kind of taken apart and things like that. It really is very interesting.
Actually, that's not fair. You actually have, you have a good sense of mechanics.
I guess I do. I'm not a complete idiot, but...
you do have a certain aptitude for it. I got to give you that.
Yeah, all right, I'll take that. I'll take that.
You're one of those wives that's really kind of cool to hang out with, and you got some strength. You can lift some things, and that's one of the things I've always enjoyed about our marriage is my wife is very feminine when she wants to be. She's very much a lady, but at the same time, if she needs to, there's some power in that girl, and it comes in handy.
So, as always, thanks for coming along with us on this Wind Therapy Wednesday. We hope you're getting out and riding and that you have good weather. I've seen lots of people who are putting their bikes away, which makes me so sad for you. I want to remind everybody about our contest giveaway for Black Friday. It is a Feuling parts vented dipstick for either a Softail or a touring model, whichever you have.
Well, what we're doing to kind of make that clear is that's the 3 chances that you can get to enter.
Okay.
So we're gonna put your, if you like the video, subscribe to our channel and leave a comment that's what you've done. That'll be 1 entry into the contest. If you like our Facebook page and like this video or like a video on our Facebook page and leave a comment, that's going to be 2 entries into the contest.
Okay.
If you follow us on Instagram, that'll be your 3rd entry into the contest. If you, again, leave a comment or a remark mentioning the contest, whether you want a black or chrome vented dipstick, and whether you want it for Softail or touring.
All right, so like he said, as always, peace.